Well, we can't use this anymore.
Yeah.
What do you got, Ian?
This looks like it might work.
No, I don't like it. How about this one?
It's close, but it's giving COVID.
Yeah. You're so right.
How about that?
You know what? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Great idea. Chris, what do you think? What's up, Pit Crew? Welcome back. Host Nathan, host Chris, Ian, manager Ian. That's what the M stands for on the hat.
Yes, definitely that.
Today, we are going over, I almost said Reefscape. Rebuilt strategy for 2026. Our two big brains here are going to go over some play calls that you should do with your team. Definitely, 100% do these.
I don't know if I'd call us big brains.
Big brains. You guys are the strategy nerds.
Well, I mean, we like to play some video games here and there, but we do our best. We'll come, and mind you, right, this is all our independent thoughts, so this is not associated with any team,
Correct,
or
yes.
anything of that nature. So we're not blasting our own teams. We're not sharing any of our
Wait,
secrets.
what's
This is
this?
just purely on.
Are these the Lions play calls? Have you been copying? Well, hang on. This is have you been using
Bill
this?
Belichick? Okay.
What?
There's a reason why you're not in the Hall of Fame.
Listen, we're deflating the balls.
Oh, all right. Can't
we're
deflate these
deflating the
balls.
fuel a little
Deflating
bit.
the fuel. That's right. A fuel gate.
All right. So we're gonna start with auto first. Independent strategy.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. So, first off, shout out to Team 4481 Rembrandts for having their unofficial cheat sheet of the field public for everyone to look at and to utilize. This is what we're using. So again, thank you for Team 4481, Team Rembrandts out of somewhere in Europe.
Rembrandt.
I don't think that's true. They're out of Europe?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're out of Europe.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
the Netherlands.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're from
Did
the
you not
Netherlands.
know?
Yeah. That's why they speak. Is it Dutch? They speak Dutch.
I
in
think
Netherlands?
Dutch. Yeah,
Max Verstappen.
Max
Right.
Verstappen. Yeah.
they speak Dutch in some of their videos. Yeah.
Again, thank you, Rembrandts.
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 There's an E. R-E.
Yeah.
Rembrandts. Yep.
So thank you.
Wham.
So all right, let's
download
jump
more
right onto the field. So
All right. So you're going first, Chris?
sure. So let's remind the pit crew what auto is, right? Auto is 20 seconds, and this year there are no points awarded if you move, unlike previous years, right? Like last year, if you move out of the auto line, you get points, and that consists of a ranking point. This year, none of that flavor. So as you can see on our screen, we actually we have the field there. So theoretically, your bot has to start somewhere along the line of the starting position. Here.
Yeah. Not even theoretically. Like actually has to.
You have to,
like
right?
against the rules if you don't. And you can't start on the bump.
Can't start on the bump. So hold on.
Fully supported by the carpet.
Fully so here, and here.
No, you.
Theoretically,
Your
no,
your bumpers can be over the bump,
but can't be
but
supported.
you
by
can't
it.
be on the
Can't.
bump.
Yeah. So that's you're confusing me a little bit. You're confusing me. Come on now, right? So, but yeah, so you could start on your starting line, right? So now, what are avenues of auto that teams will be gunning for, right? Well, let's say theoretically you have your primary scorer of auto, right? And they want to take all your preload as well as the outpost as well as the depot sallows, right? Your section of fuel that you can obtain, right? Well, I would imagine, right, depending on where you start, you can either unload your first 8 into the hopper here, or if you want to have everything done in one cycle, right, you can either position your bots either somewhere between the tower closer to outpost or depot. It doesn't matter, right? As long as your alliance partners doesn't get in the way, meaning that theoretically, let's say you're the center bot near the hopper, right? And if you want to shoot your 8 preloads into the to the hub, great. Then come over here to your human player outpost. They'll fill up the fuel into your hopper from this spot, and then you can come back around, collect fuel from the depot. If you can grab all of them, great. Which I think that's like 20 fuel.
There's 24 in each spot.
24 in
in
each
the
spot.
Outpost, 24 in the
Outpost.
depot.
Gotcha. So then in that case, once you have those, fuel, then you come back around or just move up a little bit here. And then this is where you can just start unloading your entire field side of your fuel, right? And primarily, depending on what week you're competing at, let's say the early weeks, that'll be enough to win auto. But ultimately, the game is more auto to win for that second shift. That's your reward, right? So let's say go back. You want to also try to go for the tower RP. Then you come back around, you climb, and contribute to that as well, right? And that could be either your one auto, that could be sections of it in case you have your partners doing whatever, right? Which Ian, what could alliance partners could also do in case your one team can do everything on that side?
Yeah, so I think that's a little ambitious to try to get all of that done.
Well, in higher levels of competition,
Higher levels,
theoretically,
Theoretically.
For one
you're right.
robot, yeah.
for one robot. I mean, you could obviously as well. If I go ahead and erase this a little bit, let's say you have your partners, line up whatever, right? Then in that case, then you can just grab for the depot, come back, shoot, and then maybe climb. This is probably what we'll see most of the time, or vice versa with the outputs: collect, shoot, climb, or just shoot and stay there, right?
Yeah. So, Chris, I think I got two different. I guess I could see maybe being the winning auto strategies. One of which I guess would assume a more aggressive style play, and one of which would be maybe a little bit lesser, lesser quality. For the sake, I'm gonna make the assumption both robots or all the robots basically have like a 60 or so capacity for the fuel.
Sure, six,
You
yeah.
can do an L1 climb and a ground intake.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to do that, I think option one, this is like I think the lower level play before autons get super optimized. You have three people, right? Let's draw circle 1, circle 2, circle 3. Person number 1, we're going to have solely focus on the middle of the field. We're going to get them out of the way.
Yep.
So they'll go over the bump or under the trench,
yeah.
whichever their robot is particularly best suited for. And they're not going to cross the center line, and they're just trying to get as much of that fuel as possible. And then, they'll come back around the other side to shoot. Right? So that's person number 1. Let's clear those out of there. So person number 2. This person, we'll say it's this one. So maybe they shoot right off the bat, or maybe what they'll do, they'll go over to the outpost, they'll pick up, they'll come back and shoot, and we'll try to get L1 tower climb off to one of the sides. And then that third alliance member, right, they'll go to the depot, grab those 24, shoot, go back to the tower.
Mhm.
That way, because we got to keep in mind, that tower, at least at our district and regional events, you need 50 points to get that RP. So if you get 2 alliance robots doing an L1,
That's 30 points.
that's 30 points. If
Yeah.
you get 2 more in the end game doing L1, you get your 50. You don't even have to think about someone who's able to go to L2 or L3, as long as you have, at least 2 robots capable of doing L1. I'd assume that third robot that's going to the middle of the field could also probably do L1. That's probably your quote-unquote maybe strongest alliance member or who's doing that.
So are you saying that 2 L1 climbs in auto are a must? Is that your top priority? Should that be everyone's top priority?
So if your goal is to get 6 ranking points, I think assuming that you only have L1 climbs, there's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
Right? If you have an L2 or L3 climber, maybe you get away with 1 or even none.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it also comes down to your opponents too, right? If you want that priority of getting that first shift off, then you need to focus on, fuel more so than the climbs.
Because the climbs is secondary. You can really get the climbs at Endgame after you cycle, right? The climbing is an afterthought essentially. Because if you know you can do it, you will get the RP anyways. If you not prioritize, but like if you're able to get, let's say, 2 bots during auto, get the 30 points, then 2 L1 climbs, you got the breaking point. Unless if a team is capable of doing L2, L3 climbs, then there's a little bit of flexibility on during endgame on how you want to, or I should say this, when to get the endgame points, right? Because do you want to get it during prioritize it for auto, or do you want to try to all go in endgame to do it, right? That's something to think about. But that's
Okay.
yeah.
Any other auto plans? Any other auto strats?
So-
That's the basic one, right? So you guys, one robot outpost, one robot depot, both climb, then one sweeps the middle.
Right, but in the
Yeah.
middle, but the middle part, this is gonna be the battle for winning auto, right? So let's say, right, let's take a look at bot 1, bot 3 here, and then let's go ahead and bot 2, right? So either one or both of either bot 1, bot 3, right?
Mhm.
Just like Ian described, you can either go. Oh, God. That's a big 3 here. How about that? All right. So you can either go over the bump or over the trench. Doesn't matter, right? If you can go over the bump, great. But I think if a team has a big dumper and can go under the trench, then you have practically all of this fuel that you can really nab up and get the majority of the fuel for your side or to continue scoring. Because in the rules, as long as you're not fully crossed over the auto line, meaning that your bot is not in this position and is touching another bot, let's say another bot is right here about to grab him, is if you contact them and your bumper is fully over the center line, then that's a major foul. You can't, or a major, I think it's a tech foul these days.
I'm checking it right now.
Perfect.
Major
I think it's a
foul.
major foul.
Major
There's no
foul,
such thing
yeah.
as a tech foul.
Oh, is that what it? I don't know. I don't know. The terminology is all the same. I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
G403 for everybody's
Yeah.
knowledge.
So you can't do that. But as long as your bumper is still over your side of the center line, then you could really disrupt the middle section of the fuel. And heck, you can really grab as many fuel as possible, right? Really attacking really the over more than the middle side of the fuel, try to steal from your opponents, and then you can either come back and shoot, or just simply just keep on passing, so that way you have that for your side, right? But I think the advantage is to score it, so that way you're able to win the first, for that second shift, so you will win that. But that's going to be the fight, is how many of that mid fuel are you able to grab?
I mean, yeah, like if I am crossing over into the center and I'm picking up a bunch of balls and I win auto, then I have 10 seconds to get back and in position before I unload that full hopper. So I don't think I would want to pass those over. I think I would want to hang on to those.
Yeah.
Unless I know I'm losing auto, then
Right.
probably pass them over and get more balls from the center.
Right.
Yeah.
And by doing this, I think you're almost foregoing the idea of climbing during auto. Almost, right? Because your priority is to try to grab as much fuel for the midfield as possible. So when you're grabbing, let's say actually, if you're trying to grab the whole stack, from the middle field. So like both of these, right? So both of these piles of fuel, right? If you're trying to grab the majority of it, then you're taking that time to grab it, come back, and shoot, and that's really as much time as you really have if you're trying to go for that larger area for fuel to obtain.
What are your thoughts, Ian?
That was a lot of words. So I think my first thought when I see this, anything with the center line, obviously, like you mentioned in the rules, as long as you don't touch anyone and you go over it, it's not a problem. My gut feeling, though, is I feel like that's going to be then, like, let's assume, like, okay, that's the strategy, is get as much fuel as possible. Then everyone's going for the center line. I feel like most people are going to have over the bumper outside of their frame perimeter intakes. I feel like you're going to get very prone to collisions that might either damage your robot or opponent's robots. If I'm not mistaken, as long as it's not deliberate, if it's outside frame perimeter, there's like you could just destroy your intake, and that wouldn't even be a foul.
Yep.
And then if you're going inside someone else's frame perimeter with something outside yours, and you start doing damage, those are fouls too.
Yeah.
Or
So
above their bumper gap.
yeah.
Bumper
Both
gap
of
is
the
free play too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a very much, or there's very much going to be a component of like scouting of what autos teams are capable of if you're going to decide to go for a center line or not, or you're going to have to make sure your robot's designed in such a way that doing that won't screw you over for the rest of the match,
Yep.
or even worse, give your team a card.
Right, absolutely. Because, I mean, it's going to be easy. That's going to be the common foul for this year's game is intake, frame perimeter fouls. Right, that's just going to be the majority of it. Because ultimately, right, because I'm jumping a little bit of ahead, but I'll come back to auto in a little bit, is that there's going to be a lot of interaction either on the opponent's side of the field or still fighting the mid side of the field trying to grab fuel, right? And you're going to, be interacting against your opponent, and depending on where you're grabbing, if let's say theoretically you're grabbing from the same pile, you got to be careful of where, if you're the one initiating or the one moving forward towards an opponent, your intake happens to cross the frame perimeter of the bot, then that's where the major calls are going to get, be against you. So that's, you got to be worried about, careful about that. Not worried, but careful.
Yeah. So I guess in that vein, Chris, I think that kind of ties into, I guess, what I'd say my secondary auto idea that's maybe, a little bit more aggressive, right? So here, I'll make my little dots.
I like the little dots.
I know. Aren't they kind of cute?
It's 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Okay. What I would do in this case, if you think you can be a little more aggressive, you care more about fuel maybe than the climbs, because you might only get one climb out of this strategy, right? So 1 and 3, right? They're basically each going to go. They're going to gobble up as much as they can. Whether or not you go over the midline will depend on that scouting ahead of time, right? And then you're coming back, shoot, coming back, shoot. The goal would be you're doing that kind of fast enough. You're getting most of that up in that 20 seconds, right? You're trying to get that advantage. And since you're not traveling as far through the middle, I think it's a bit more doable maybe, where you can get over there within a few seconds, pick up for a few seconds to get back, and then maybe you still have 6 or 7 seconds or so to get, as much fuel out in the air as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Then this last puppy, number 2, probably what you do is you think about whether the depot or the outpost would be your stronger one. You go grab that. You just shoot, your preloads in those 24. Maybe the outpost, assuming you have a way to dump them in directly, is a bit safer to make sure you intake them all. But you do that, and then that one, this person number 2 tries to climb. Maybe person number 1 over here, since they're on the side that 2 didn't touch, if they shoot really fast, maybe they also get the chance to climb. But I think that's kind of more of that would be a really, really optimized thing, I think, to pull that off. I think the strategy more so here is you're trying to control as much of the fuel here as possible, get those higher volumes than you would versus that first strategy where someone hits the depot and someone hits the outpost. And then, you're getting that advantage out of autonomous, hopefully.
Sure. But then in this case, you're leaving out the depot, right? So is that the risk that alliance is willing to take as well? Because that's possibly another 24 fuel you're just leaving on the field.
Yeah, well, I guess then if you look at alliance partner number 2, right? Let's back up a little bit, remove some of these lines. Maybe what they do, they hit the outpost, then they hit over to the depot, and then they shoot from that.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just have them go to the depot and have the human player throw it from the outpost?
So we have 20 seconds. I guess, where were we thinking the human player is going to throw to?
The hub.
The hub?
Yeah, throw it in.
My personal opinion, and I really don't have that much evidence to back it up, I think that's going to be very slow. Like, if you have a 20-second auto, they have 24 balls. I think getting more than 1 a second throwing with accuracy will be difficult. I mean, maybe that's the way you get like 10 from there, and then you focus on the depot first versus the outpost. I think that might be a good point.
Yeah.
But I think in the grand scheme of things, I would trust the robot to score them faster and in a more accurate manner than a human player.
Because a human player, it's they have to be relatively accurate too, and yeah, so you got to be relatively accurate, but also have the volume as well to be able to get rid of all of those, right, or as much as they can, right? How many people can like throw multiple balls into an accurate goal, and like how like this it's not.
Especially like if you think about the back half of auto, like in
Right.
this situation, right? 1 and 3 are going to be back over here shooting. So there's going to be a lot of balls already flying in the air over there. What are the odds that you get in and clean versus you just hit another ball and misdirect both of them?
Right. So and that's the risk that some teams will be willing to take if they don't have an auto for the outpost, or their bot is not so capable of outputting such a high volume in a short amount of time, maybe. Right.
So you guys want the human player to do nothing?
I want him to dump fuel in the robot.
As
Yeah.
God intended.
Yeah.
As Dean intended.
I mean, I don't know. What I'm curious your take on this, Nate, because I'm guessing by bringing up the question, maybe you think otherwise, or are you just curious?
I'm just curious.
Curious.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You guys want to move on to the different shifts?
Absolutely.
You guys have any more auto strategies?
I think that's about more or less the gist of how auto is going to play. Right, and the main big thing I want to throw down as well is that if teams are coming back to shoot after, let's say, grab from the middle, come back to shoot, and then you have a bot, let's say, come back outpost, come back depot, shoot, and then climb. Right, how much space is this going to get congested by all that traffic? Right, so teams are going to. During auto, you have to think about position of your bots and how much space your bot is going to take on your side of the field, because any collision during in this circle here, right, is going to mess up your auto, right? So you got to be worried about your path of where your bot's going.
All right.
So yeah, I
That's
think
good.
now we're getting to the meat and gritty of this teleop, the shifts. Now,
The shit. What?
the
So, Chris, I think maybe to start, do we just try to walk through like a 3v0 match, like
Sure.
how we'd approach it, just as a baseline before
Yeah.
we start thinking about how the opponents are going to interact with
right,
it?
and then we'll throw in later on the variables of against another team, what types of teams, etc. Right?
Yeah,
But,
that's a really good idea and wasn't scripted at all.
all right, Ben Johnson. What you thinking?
You want me to go?
Sure.
Okay, so I think at very high level, right? Again, we've just let me undo that. Actually, we've just finished auto. We got the 3 robots just chilling wherever, right? Let's say we won. So we got these last 10 seconds. Any fuel left in our systems, that's the first priority because they're still counting that fuel for the next 10 seconds. So
Mhm.
let's say 2 and 3, right? These were ones in the middle. Maybe they had more fuel than they could shoot. They finished those off, score first before we now assume we're on break.
Mm-hmm.
All 3, we go over. Maybe 1 goes here, 3 goes that way. We grab as much fuel as possible in here. And we can go over to the other side of the field now too, right? So all this, fair game. We're trying to get as much as we can. And what I'm doing personally, Chris, for the first, because it's a 25-second shift, I'd say for the first 15 seconds or so, my priority is I'm just trying to pass it over into our side of the field.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to get as much fuel over there for us so it's ready for us when our shift begins to get like a second volley.
Right, because when the opponent's shift begins, now let's say they're here, and here. Now they have to travel. They either had to collect what little's left from the middle pile, and now they have to travel back out to your side of the field to grab those fuel, then come back to score into their hub. And that takes how long is that going to take?
It's going to add some extra time.
Yeah.
Now, that does bring up, again, we're kind of just thinking 3v0 right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yes, in a 3v3, obviously, as you're preparing for your shift, they're already in shifts. So they're trying to grab as much fuel as possible, as fast as possible,
Right.
at the same time as you.
Now, an interesting thing I want to ask is for those bots collecting all the fuel from the middle, are you holding it or are you just shoving it to your side and trying to hoard it? Right? Or do you pass it along to your side, or if you have a big enough dumper or hopper, right?
Yeah.
Are you just holding the fuel?
So like I said, I think for the first 10, 15 seconds, goal is to pass. Then for that last 10 to 15 seconds, hoard. And obviously the size of your hopper maybe depends on that. Like if it takes the whole 25 seconds to fill up your hopper, like teams are going to have to figure this out. Maybe you don't have any reason to pass because you can just grab everything all at once in one big jolly old, Santa stack of presents type of situation. But yeah, I'm trying to get as much fuel in our possession as possible.
Okay.
Right? So that way, when your 25 seconds starts, the goal would be that last 5 seconds or so before the shift turns over. You're all coming back over, and then we're just unearthing everything in you into that hopper. All 3 robots are doing that. And then as soon as your hopper is empty, that fuel you tried to pass over, probably it's going to start piling up in these corners over here. It's going to get knocked out of the way.
Yep.
I'd imagine. You're going over there. You're trying to intake, fill it up, and then you're going to keep shooting again.
Right. And I think that's an important part too, is that you also got to think about where you're passing to if you are going to pass, right? Because if you're passing, yeah, there's going to be balls that's going to be scattered, all over the field, right? All over, right? So if you're able to pass in an area that can be collected, let's say in the outpost or in the depot in those corners, how big of an advantage is that going to be for your alliance, where you don't have to keep hunting down like the smaller piles all around your field? You have a huge pile from like a corner of the field to where you can just grab it in one go and then fire.
Yeah,
right.
That's definitely going to be, I think, an important thing. That's one thing, it reminds me of 818's robot in 2024 when we kind of started doing passing stuff at Worlds. I think was mainly the point when we were doing that is with the way the whole, I don't know how to describe it because I'm not programming anymore, but right, they kind of have the field system built in the robot based on the vision. And so they basically said, when we shoot, do the math to shoot the note right there.
Yep.
Every single time, no matter where we are in the field over here, where we cross back over to that, because right in Crescendo, for those who weren't around, you had to go to the middle of the field in order to pass to your quadrant or third. So once you get back over there, no matter where we are, hit that same spot every single time. So I think that's going to be something, especially for teams that are doing that vision processing and have that capability, it'll be a huge advantage, like you said. So it's all in one spot to gobble up.
Absolutely. That's right.
Speaking of the mic, please.
That's right.
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's really hard. Okay, so I'm hearing triple offense. Everybody gets balls. Everybody scores.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, theoretically, you could also too.
I mean, in
one
a 3v0, there's not really any other options.
Yeah. I mean, you could have the one team play the support, but the support being like the passer, right?
Yeah. And so I think that's maybe if we start transitioning into the first thought of a 3v3, assume we're in the same scenario, right? So we all came back. We all just shot. Like we said, there's maybe these 2 corners here. Let's just clear this out. We got our 2 corners here where there's a lot of fuel, maybe to try for a second volley. So maybe we have 2 robots tackle those. This third robot, they empty their valley. Maybe there's 15 seconds left. Maybe that's the point you start sending someone out to the middle of the field to try to slow down, because all the fuel is going to start pouring out here that they're going to be trying to collect.
And you have your
you try to play a little interference, or maybe you're even trying to come all the way over here and you're just shooting the fuel they're passing back out, and you're just in stage to try to knock them around when they're trying to shoot.
Yeah, you're playing chaos, right? Yes, because let's say like the Blue Alliance in this scenario, right? They have the first shift now. Yeah, they have to fight for the middle side here. Or if they're playing risky, they could try to, bum rush to your side of the field, try to steal, and then try to come back and score. But that's going to waste so much of their time that they're not going to have, they're gonna probably like 5 seconds left to unload as much as they can to their hub before time expires and then shifts over to your turn now.
You mean their turn?
Well,
We're still in the first shift, right?
first shift's transitioning to the.
So they're
to
on
the second.
defense. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about in regards to the POV of the losing alliance or the losing alliance that lost auto, right?
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, having the middle bot, right? Either play spoiler and just steal the middle side, or come to the middle to the opponent's side and just start bumping and chumping, cause a little chaos.
Yeah.
But do you think playing defense is like hitting the bot while they're shooting, right? Is that worth of a time for that support bot to be doing?
We're going to have to wait and see, right? I feel like it's all going to depend on the exact opponent. I feel like you're really like high-end robots, they're going to either make it very difficult to move, like they'll be able to set their drive teams such that if you bump them, they'll just counteract it immediately and not actually even move. Or even if you can move them, their vision will automatically just change how their
the trajectory of the shots.
Their trajectory's going. Yeah.
Yep.
It would kind of be then down, I guess, a tier of robot where it's maybe more of a manual shot in lineup where obviously that could be very effective, assuming that their shots are effective enough that doing that is worth the opportunity cost of what else you can do. Right.
But yeah, ultimately up to the team, up to the lines of how you want to have that support role doing. It doesn't have to be just the one bot too. It could be also multiple bots, right? Either one or two, well, 1, 2. Yeah. Theoretically 3, but you generally want the third bot to at least play the more offensive role, being the one that helps to primarily focus on scoring, so. But
Chris, this actually, I just threw a word out there that made me realize probably there's people in the pit crew who haven't hit their junior year of high school yet and maybe haven't taken economics and are aware of the concept of an opportunity cost, or at least in those words, right? So pit crew, what I mean by that, and this is something you should always think about in your strategy, is an opportunity cost. What could you be like? What are you giving up to do what you're doing, right? So if I'm going to play defense to knock somebody around, but I could be shooting, say, 20 balls per shift. If I'm doing that, but I could shoot 20 balls per shift, or I could be over here knocking them around and stopping them from scoring 10 balls. Well, I guess that's not a perfect 1-to-1 because where our on and off shifts are offset. But you can get the general point, like in a normal year where it's not a time shift thing, trying to slow them down by 10 versus you scoring 20, you're leaving 10 points on the table there, basically. It doesn't make sense to play defense in that case.
Right.
Unless you can disrupt more than you could contribute.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then I wanted then. So the offense, right? We know offense, right? You're either passing, you're either shooting, or whatnot, right? And that's throughout your shifts, right? You got to do that, several times throughout the match, right? So either stick with it, or if you need to adjust, then coordinate with your alliance, coordinate with your drive coaches of how do we adapt to the match, right? But let's talk in the same vein, but this time focus on the defense end of things, right? So let's say first shift or even your third shift, right? Let's say it remains relatively the same, right? You have piles that you collected up on this side, collecting up this side, a little bits scattered here, and then you have your pile that's coming back out from each hub, right? So now here comes the defense part. Let's say the majority of the fuel is now on your side of the field.
Like
yeah.
You were just they were on triple offense just now. You were gathering fuel. You just got it all over onto your side.
Yep.
You're ready for your shift to start. Their shift is finished. They need more fuel. That's the situation.
Exactly.
Correct?
Exactly. Right. Now here comes the defensive part. Where are possible choke points that you could really hold out to prevent the alliance from collecting that fuel? Well, obviously, if you have fuel that's hoarded up to those corners, right? Your depot corner or your outpost corner, right? Now you have this area as well as this area to really protect that fuel, right? Because honestly, the area for the depot I would say is a little bit of an easier time to play defense because you have the extra obstacle of the depot, that little bump that holds like the little fuel into that area.
Yeah.
You're
I'm just kind of confused. Are you talking about like how you're playing defense while you're on offense? Like how you're protecting your fuel, or I guess I'm trying
No,
to figure out
he's
what you're
in
trying
his
to say.
off. He's in his
the
off
off
shift.
period, off shifts.
So you're off shift. So you're off shift. Your side should be like empty by that point, you'd think, right?
Right. So during the off shift, while your field's empty, let's say your support bot is dumping fuel to those areas, right?
And 2
Yeah.
offense, 1 pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Sure.
And then, yeah.
Okay. So then what?
Right. Then you're just playing defense, right? If the opponent is coming to your side of the field to collect,
Okay.
Okay.
right? In the choke point, if the field is in your preferred spots, will be like these corners, right?
Okay.
So
these are good hoarding spots to
hoarding spots. Yeah.
Yeah, keep your fuel.
Right. And that's just talking about your side of the field. Then comes, right, the middle part of the field where all the fuel is coming back out in the middle, right? So now the choke point is, are you preventing the team from collecting, or do you want to play the teams preventing from coming back to the field, right? Because ultimately the choke point is if a team doesn't have the if they're too tall, right, they can't go under the trench, then you have this entire area to prevent them from coming back to their field.
As long as it's only one alliance member doing that.
Doing that,
Yeah.
correct, right? Because you can't send your entire lines to block off their entire side of the field. That's
It was specifically called out blocking both bumps in a blue box. I saw
Right.
somewhere. Yeah.
right. So
Try
you
to
can't
find
do
it.
that, right? But theoretically, you could really hold up one side of the field with one defender by blocking off the trench, blocking off the bump from either side, and forcing the alliance to only go one half of their field to come back around, score, come back around, collect, right? And that could
I
come,
can't find it.
It's somewhere in there.
yeah, it's somewhere in there. But then you're causing now this area to be a high traffic area for to keep coming back and forth. If you're able to effectively hold off their lines from using the other side of the bump and trench.
Bump and trench.
Interesting.
What are your thoughts, Ian?
So
On
my
the off
thoughts-
shift.
On the off shift. All right.
On the off shift. On the off shift.
On the off
shift.
shift.
On-
Okay, so I'm gonna erase everything you just had, Chris. What my thought is. So I'm still gonna be red. Let's say.
Yeah.
Sure.
Always red, baby. Red's number 1.
So blues over here. They've got their 3 robot. Here's my assumption is gonna be. They have their 3 robots here, just like we were assuming we had at the start of our shift.
Sure.
They've got their 3 robots ready to shoot. They've got their collections. And then we're all still over here. We got X, square, and triangle maybe. Those are our 3 robots. We just finished shooting. Maybe triangle's in the middle of the field. They were already trying to collect a little bit of fuel because they were our robot that we decided wasn't going to go for the corner.
Uh-huh.
So here, I'll actually undo that. I got triangle
The
here.
anti-first logo.
My thought for 2 of these robots, I'm bum rushing these corner depots. Obviously, what they're already holding, they're going to be able to shoot. My thought is I'm getting over here. I want to pick up their fuel here and their fuel here, and ideally try passing it all the way back to my side of the field. Maybe we do the math, and after playing a few matches, it turns out it really just makes more sense to hold on to that to score ourselves. But I'm trying to get rid of that advantage that they have of that other fuel close to them and using that for our advantage later on. Right? And then maybe triangle here is chilling in the middle and trying to, again, for the first 10 to 15 seconds, pass all the stuff blues shooting back out of their little hub there. And then after that, again, it's just collection. By this point in the match, because we'll assume this is like shift 2 or 3, probably this whole middle part is basically gone and it's more of just a scatter across the entire area.
Right.
But, yeah.
Is X and square full court passing, or are they just picking up and going back?
If you can full court pass and the math works out where you can collect more than you're going to hold in your hopper, I think full court passing is the play. But obviously, if you're only going to pick up 60 and you can hold 80, well, then why would we bother picking it up again later? And I think that would be the goal, too. Like, I'm not sure, because we haven't played this game yet, how long it'll take to grab, enough here before it's no longer as valuable as them also maybe coming back to the middle, maybe grab a little in the middle, too, before you go back over for your shift on the far side.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Rootin' and tootin'.
Rootin' tootin', that's right. Yeah, and that's essentially, 3v3, right? This is not much, right? It's this is really like a chess game, right? So it's all about looking at the field, where, what's happening during the field, where's the piles of the field, where are teams playing at, and you really got to read them out and just make those adjustments as needed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think we're going to see that evolve over the course of competition, too. I think not only as level of play elevates, but I think it's very difficult, I guess, to try to figure out the meta, because there's going to be a lot of, I think, in those early weeks back and forth of, like, maybe what we're doing right now, maybe that's like what teams are thinking is the metas at the start. But then they realize, oh, we're just going to lose all this fuel in the corners when they try to grab it. So maybe that doesn't make sense. Maybe it turns out robots' intakes are far more efficient than we think, and they're able to shoot full court passes really easily. There's going to be a lot more passing and a lot more emphasis. Maybe fuel becomes a choke point where maybe you get to the point where alliances are having 80, 90 fuel hoppers at that highest level, and there gets a point between what's already being processed in the hub and what you're holding on to. There's really not that much fuel to pick up, so it becomes more slim pickings maybe, or there's not even that much you can try to pass over to your side before your turn, because there's already 300 or so just being processed by the other alliance, right? So it's going to be a fascinating season, I think.
Absolutely.
All right, as we wind down to this end game of the episode, Ian, I want you to start off our end game section, if you would.
Yeah.
And that way Chris can rebuttal this time.
That works. So
Delightful.
Endgame, I think, well, obviously Endgame looks differently for the two different alliances, right? If you're the alliance that lost auto, you're coming into Endgame out of your shift.
Off shift, yep.
Or, no, you were on shift, and you're still getting points in the Endgame. You're kind of continuing through. That's like a 55-second long shift, in a sense.
Because there's no break. It's just
Correct.
As soon as the shift is as soon as your shift ends, it immediately continues to endgame to where both alliances can now score whenever you want.
If
So
I
now
lost auto?
Team that lost all yet, because they're off, then on, then off, then on, and then they stay on for the end game.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm the team that lost auto, I think this is another part of the big disadvantage they get, right? Is that you just finished emptying everything out, and now you still have 30 seconds where you're trying to score maybe a little bit more, squeeze a little life left out of it. So I think for that team that lost autonomous, that's your goal, and maybe you're approaching shift 4 a little differently with that in mind as well, where you're being a bit more aggressive versus maybe what you've saved up in your corners. You're trying to go back to grab maybe a bit of a larger second volley. And then, tower points, I think the goal is obviously always you want a ranking point. So whatever you didn't get in auto, that's what you're going for.
Yeah,
if you go with the 2 L1 climb in auto, you just want either 1 L2 or 2 L1 climbs in the end game.
Right. So that goes back to my point earlier in the episode is like, when do you want to start thinking about endgame? Do you want to prioritize that during auto so that way you have an easier time during endgame, or do you want to do it all in one go in endgame? Period.
Yeah.
Right. Because for a team, is it worth the time, right, to use endgame? Let's say theoretically you come back, shoot a little bit, but is it worth your time to then line up up to the tower, and let's say you have a level 3 climber? Is it worth your time to take the time, have your bot go up to the level 3 climber, get the 30 points, but then only have that endgame period to get those 30 points? Because those 30 points, when you climb the tower, is static. You're not getting any more or less. Once you climb it and you're above the second rung,
Yeah.
you got your 30 points.
Yeah, they
Right?
should climb and then shoot from the tower.
I bet there will be a team that does it, and I cannot wait to watch it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Chris, that's my losing alliances strategy. For my winning, the audience, the team that wins auto.
Yeah.
We call them lower bracket teams, Ian, not loser bracket.
Wait, no, I said it backwards. You called it out right.
It's not my episode. I'm just the moderator.
So that would be for the team that won auto, what I just described previous, right? Because they start
Owen's
off
gonna have a
and
great
then on,
time
off, and then
bleeping
on,
all that,
Yeah.
correcting
and
it.
continue on.
Yes.
Jeez. You can tell it's a Sunday morning when we're recording this. So that's what I would do if that were them. If I was the losing alliance of auto, though, or the lower bracket,
Lower
auto,
bracket alliance.
of
sure.
auto,
No, we're gonna confuse our viewers too much. I'll just cutie crap.
right? You started on, then off, then on. So you were just off for that final shift.
Right.
So your approach there, you're trying to hoard as much of that as normal. And my thought, you're trying to basically get another 15 to 20 seconds worth of like an extra shift in at the end, basically, to try to, because I'm assuming you're probably behind because you theoretically would have started auto behind,
Yep.
and then you were
Mhm.
immediately thrown into your first shift, so you didn't really get a real shift there because it's the bloodbath like the Hunger Games there in the middle for the fuel at that for that first
Yeah,
shift.
so you're making up the time. for
transition shift.
Yeah. Mhm.
So this is your opportunity to try to make it up a little bit and go as long as you can with scoring fuel before then you go for your climbs to try to get your ranking point. And I mean, at that point, I guess you're trying to think maybe too, you have to, am I cutting my losses and just getting that climb ranking point and conceding the win, or am I close enough where I can either take the lead for the win or I need to hold my lead for the win to get those 3 ranking points? Because obviously 3 is a lot better than 1.
Yep. Yeah.
That math's out. Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, so and for depend, it doesn't matter for what alliance realistically. It's what do you prioritize in terms of scoring more points, right? If you're the winning alliance, yeah, you're going to think about the tower a little more because you're already ahead in points. So you might as well think about, okay, how can we just secure the ranking points? Or if it's playoffs, how can we just secure just a little bit of extra points to win the match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus the losing alliance, right? Like you said, how are we squeezing a little bit of extra points so that way we can hopefully get the win for that match, right? Because a couple extra points in the hub might be worth the difference, then be able to climb, right? But then you have less time to climb, and like I said, if let's theoretically, right, you get up to just you're able to have a 30-point climb, right? Is it worth just climbing to get just static 30 points, or is it worth spending that extra few more seconds getting some more fuel and possibly coming back and shooting, possibly getting also as well those 30 points, or maybe a little more points of that 31, 32 points, etc. That little nudge to help them get closer to hopefully win, or at least maybe tie potentially. But
Yeah. Okay, so to recap, the perfect strategy is to start shooting the hub, go to get the outpost, go get the depot, go into the middle, grab everything, pass them all back, start shift 1, winning auto, go middle, go bum rush all the corners, get all the balls, come back, shoot, bam, 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 repeat, 2-3 shift phase, I triple formation, come back, shoot in the hub, climb up the tower, then empty your load in the hub.
I think what we call that is a trip nasty HLT R2 out 3 times Spartan Charger weak clamp with a Wilcox turbo on 3. Ready, set.
Great.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, so let's talk really quick about robot roles for each alliance.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much specific, like maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the design part of this as well, but obviously how your robot's designed will affect how it works. If you're like a big chunker and you can hold 80, 90, 100 fuel, maybe you're not as focused on passing those because you're going to just be able to gobble everything up.
Right, so you might as well think about hoarding and shooting.
So you're hoarding.
Yeah.
I think maybe if, like I've seen some robots maybe that have like a double intake where they can intake from either side, maybe their focus is more so on, shooting and scoring that past fuel, right? Because they are very versatile in how they can intake fuel. They don't have to worry about turning around and repositioning. They can just basically go anywhere. Obviously, only one side can extend out at a time, but if you have a robot that has an intake like that, maybe that drives
A double intake?
a double intake.
Who's doing a double intake?
I don't think my team is, but I think a double intake is a good idea this year. That gives you a lot. It just saves you from having to reposition. I think when you're trying to collect all that fuel during your shift really fast, those fractions of a second you save, assuming you have the capability of designing it and doesn't put an undue tax on your build and design teams.
Double
every second
intake would be-
saved is a point gained.
Double intake would be crazy.
What are you doing
Dabbing you up, bro.
for double intake?
Yeah.
I don't know about double intake, bro.
Hang on, just finish it. Crazy bad. No.
I mean double intake. I mean it's whatever, right? Versus a big hopper, big dumper, right? Like you said, hoarding and shoot or possibly shooting, right? Versus it's. I think those roles real.
I mean, they're different approaches.
Mm-hmm. Versus, let's say, what about versus like a wide shooter that can shoot out multiple balls too, versus like a team that's a turret too. That's something to think about too. Of right, do you want to have the turret be the passer, and then have like the wide shooter be the scorer,
Yeah.
right, or vice versa, right? So it's
But if I can't pick up any balls, then turret means nothing, right? That's why double intake. Number 1. Dab me up.
I don't.
Alright. God, Chris is really off his game today.
Well, it's Sunday.
It is Sunday. Go to
Well,
church.
actually, it's Wednesday when you're watching this.
It's
if you watch it when
Wednesday.
it comes
It's
out,
Wednesday,
but
baby. Do your homework.
Hump Day. Remember those?
Dom,
what was
do
that
your
Geico
homework.
commercials? Or
Geico?
Aggressive. There was the camel in the office.
That's right.
Yeah.
It goes hump day. So in terms of and going into the robot design phase of what roles to play, right? The big
Yeah.
big hoppers, big dumpers, right? You're
Every
not-
bot.
Right. Every bot. I think
Every bot.
every bot. I think what role do you then recommend then for
An every bot?
an every bot?
Or a
yeah.
kit bot, you mean, more so? Or 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know if I've even watched what the Robonauts
118
every knot
yeah.
is this year. And I barely remember the functionality of the kit bot because I just...
It's not too much different.
I mean, I guess it all depends on capacity and shooter accuracy, right?
Okay.
If you can hold a lot, hoard and shoot. If you can't hold a lot, pass, shoot, intake, shoot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or if you have like a really inaccurate shooter, just focus on passing and ball control. Let your other two teammates handle maybe more of the shooting. Then you get a bit less congestion in that area. You get cleaner shots for those two that may be a little bit more accurate. Your rule is just, again, ball control, which not only helps them reload, it also starves your opponent a little bit.
Yep. All makes sense.
Delightful. Any closing thoughts?
I mean, ultimately, you're just all right.
Speaking of the mic.
I think this is gonna be all right. It's gonna be a strategy scouting, wet dream this
Nightmare. Oh.
year. Oh, well,
No, I'm just- you said scouting, so strategy, yeah.
strategy wise, yeah, that you're really gonna have to coordinate with your alliance, your team, and yeah. So it's gonna be a chess game this year, just like 2024. This year, same thing. You're really gonna have to really think about both movement, placement, and just like positioning on the field.
Yeah.
I second it. I think it's going to be I don't think we've had a year this exciting from an in-match strategy perspective for a long while.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to watch how things evolve firsthand over the course of the season.
Absolutely.
I'm so hungry.
I'm too.
Yeah.
Fatties.
Need some fuel.
Well,
All right. Thank you, Big Brains. We'll see if anybody does that. Call the triple XYI, whatever the hell you
Big
said,
Nasty.
Chris. Big Nasty. Thank you, Pit Crew, for watching. Thank you for us for joining. Remember to like and subscribe. We're on our road to 500 subscribers. Follow us on Instagram, Pit Podcast _official. We've got some banger reels coming out now that we're going to be allowed back at events. New videos on Wednesdays. Get your merch at shop.pitpodcast.com. Powered by Blue Arc Apparel.
Great folk.
Yeah, good folk over there.
Good folk over there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pit Crew. We will see you at the competition.